My name is Cassy Summers. Welcome to the Curious Universe podcast. Welcome to the Curious Universe podcast. I am so happy to be here with you today. Let's talk about, I want to explore with you, not just talk about it. I want to explore with you suppression. What about you have you been suppressing? A total suppression of your being. Now, I know for a lot of us, at some way along our journey, whether it was being a child, a teenager, adult, you've been made wrong. You've been judged as wrong at some point in your life, right? We can all probably, unless you lived like in a cave somewhere, you probably have experienced this. Often what we do is whatever that, and especially when it's someone that you really have high regard for, or you respect, or you really care for. And so they judged you as wrong. And then you make all these presumptive realities about what exactly they were judging, what exactly is wrong about you, what exactly you need to cut off or change about you to make it better. This is kind of the basis of most relationships, really. It's like, you tell me what you need me to fix about me. You tell me what I need to be for you, and then I'll do my best to suppress anything that conflicts with that. Lately, I've been really exploring these places where I've been suppressing my being, but not even consciously aware of it. And here on the Curious Universe podcast, that's what we're doing, right? We're exploring our own consciousness curiously. We're exploring the consciousness of the world curiously. But what if everything that you've been suppressing about you is a strongness of you? And it could be like a strongness in disguise, right? So as an infinite being, you be all energies. So that means you are the bitch. You are the asshole. You are the kindness, the caring. And you're the slut. And you're the, what do they call it? Frigid. You actually have access to all energies and you can be anything. But when we judge something as wrong, then we will suppress a capacity we have in that area, right? And what I'm really noticing is that you might think, okay, I'm just suppressing the bitch in me. You know, I'm just going to suppress that one little molecule, but it affects your whole being. And there might be moments where we really need the bitch energy. We really need that. Like, no, you don't get to do that. No, like whatever bitch means to you, which is, you know, also kind of entangled in judgment. There are going to be times where you actually require to be that energy. And if you are dynamically suppressing it, you won't be able to. You might have these things going on where it's like, why can't my business take off? Like, I'm trying so hard. I'm putting so much energy into this. Why isn't this working? And what's showing up is that your suppression of this bitch energy, I'm just using that as an example, is not allowing you to go forward. So you are actually the one stopping you, but feeling so confused as to why everything feels like it keeps stopping. One energy for me personally has been the dominant energy. So I have always had a kind of like the dominant mare of a herd of horses. So not from needing power over people, but I've always had this dominant kind of leading energy of like, I'm going here. This is the greatest choice. And just this really like grand, big energy. Okay. And throughout my life, there was a multitude of different things that have shown up. Like, I would see people kind of cringe in that big energy, and I'd be like, "Oh my God, I scared them. Oh my God, I don't want people to think I'm scary." Or it's created where people want to like fight me because they're like, "Oh, I want to pick the biggest, baddest person here and see if I can take them down." And then I decided, "Oh, this attracts conflict." Right? And then there was times where I knew that my dominant energy could overcome something or overcome someone's point of view, and I judged that as wrong and abusive. So I suppressed this dominance. So let's look at me, and then let's look at you, because sometimes you can see an example of someone else a little bit more clear than your own because you're too close to it. So if I wasn't willing to be a dominant energy, then what would that create in my business? My business could never be a dominant commodity. I could never be the most demanded in my field, right? I could never make more money than the majority of others in my field, because that would be me dominating the field, right? I couldn't have more participants in my classes than other people, because then I'm, again, being a dominant energy, right? I could never, get the guy if that I wanted if someone else wanted him, because then I would be dominating. Do you see? It goes on and on and on and on. And we create this even with our bodies. So where I wouldn't want to be too intimidating or too dominating with my appearance. So then what would I create with my body? So now let's flip it to you. It might not be dominant. It might be not willing to be the bitch, not willing to kill, not willing to, what have you been suppressing about your being that maybe you haven't even until this moment today acknowledged it? To get a sense of that. You might just start with energy, or you'll get a word, or you might get a memory of when you were suppressing. Okay. Oh, anger. That's a good one. So a lot of people suppress anger. What if anger was potency? What if when your anger rises, that's actually potency to change something? And rather than suppressing the anger, what if you utilized it in a creative way? And sometimes in that suppression, we actually destroy ourselves, or we destroy other people. It's kind of like a pot of boiling water, right? So if you put water into a pot and you have the lid off and you boil it, it will just keep boiling, and it'll, steam will come up and it will dissipate until there's no more water. Right? And unless someone puts their hand in it, they're fine. You could be around a pot of boiling water and it's no problem. You put a lid on it and it bubbles and it bubbles and it bubbles, and the lid starts kind of like, and then you take the lid off because you get fed up just even for a minute, and it goes everywhere. The person touching the lid usually gets hurt. That's the anger. But we think we need to suppress it, like as if we hold that pot lid on harder, that's going to protect people. It's going to protect ourselves. That's what we're supposed to do. That's the right way to be. If you never had a lid on it, and when your potency rises, then what if you could broadband that steam? You don't have to yell. You don't have to use force. You don't have to hurt people physically, it doesn't have to turn into violence. It's actually an energy that rises and you go, where does this need to go? What can I be with this? Now, another reason that we tend to suppress things is if someone was being something to us that we felt was abusive or unkind, or we observed someone doing that to someone else. So if you had parents that were really angry and yelled a lot, or were intimidating or dominating, right? My father was a very dominating, I was going to say ruler. He used fear to control us. So I don't want to be that. But when you're trying to resist being something, rather than if you're willing to be all energies, then I got to tell you, if I was in a situation where my life was in danger, I would want to strike fear in someone else so they would back down. That's a capacity. That's an energy that I can be, that I can use. But if I'm suppressing it, if I'm judging it, it is so much more difficult to access that energy. But I don't have to be it all the time. If we can be infinite energies, then we're a multitude of glorious energies all the time, ever changing to match each moment, each conscious exploration. You wouldn't walk around as a dominant person all the time. It would rise in those moments. The anger would rise in the moments that it's going to create the change. All of these things that you've been suppressing about you is a capacity. It's a gift. It's an energy that you can use to create a greater life for you if you can take off the suppression. And at first it might seem weird and you might feel like, so if it's anger, you might feel like I'm yelling all the time. Give it 3 days. Okay. And you could even warn everyone and you can be like, listen, I'm like doing some self-growth. I am overcoming this place where I suppress these emotions, this anger, this stuff that comes up for me. So I might explode a little bit in the next 3 days. Please don't take it personal. I love you so much. But I got to do this for me to change this. Please understand. And just be you. The most magical thing is that often whatever we presumed is going to happen, if we let go of the presumption, it's not at all what we presumed. Our presumptions are based off of reference points. They're based off of our programming. They're based off of all of these things that have nothing to do with choice, question, possibility, and consciousness. Now, your being might have a lid on it, a bell jar, some kind of encasing, some entrapment. Maybe you bought somewhere along the way that you're just pure evil and that you need to be kept locked up. What if that's not true? If you're here even listening to this podcast, you're a seeker of consciousness. Would a seeker of consciousness be evil? This doesn't even make sense. Okay, so I'm going to invite you right now and just kind of get an energetic sense of whatever that is that you have suppressing your being. The bell jar, the lid, the box, the cage. If you have some complex devices or systems and programs running. And if you're new to like exploring energy, you could feel right now like nothing is happening. You might not be feeling anything. You might think that you're not sensing anything, but just play along and notice the change after. Okay. So get this sense of wherever this is this cap, this ceiling, and you're just going to dissipate it, melt it, lift it, remove it. You could shatter it. What would be the fun way for you to let it go and truly set your very being free, unsuppressed, untethered, all aspects of it, all energies of it, all of them, even the ones you've judged or that have been judged. Notice how you feel. I've had clients tell me that they almost feel like wings kind of sprout out of their back, like they can fly. Other people feel really lightheaded, um, really energized, or kind of sleepy. How does your body feel and sense what is your space of being now? And you might start to expand out, expand that being, and then notice, oh, here's another layer of suppression. Okay, melt that. What power and potency can you be to melt all suppression of being for you? We're just going to do some magic here for a minute. And you can listen to this over and over, and you might find different layers. It might be the first time you go, yes, anger is my thing. And then the next time you're like, you know what? It's actually like sadness. And there's all this sadness and I've been suppressing it. And then you clear out that. And then it might be like, I'm actually suppressing all this happiness and joy that is totally inappropriate to have because everyone around me is miserable. And keep going. Just keep going. And what if you didn't have to have an existence where you were suppressing your being, your potency, your magic? If you're wondering why my hands are up, I'm actually doing some energy work right now. And see, so others might be suppressing that. They have this sense of putting their hands up, but that looks weird. How many of you are suppressing things about you that you think others will just think are so weird? That's okay. Let them think it's weird. They'll be inspired to tap into their own weird. If the world was a little less mundane and mediocre and sameness, I think it would be a lot more interesting. But that's just me. What if everything that you were suppressing about you is a gift? And you know that's hard to believe when it's something that you really decided is wrong. Like for me, that dominant energy, it was like so wrong for me to be that. And it took a lot of work and actually I went into really exploring what is dominance to me. What is it like to be dominant in my business, in my life? What is it like to have the dominant reality when I'm in a room? What would it be like? Now, okay, get this. Okay, get this. Maybe we should do a whole thing on dominance. But so you have, let's say 20 people walk into a room, okay? And they all have their own reality. What I mean by that is they see the world through their perspective, and the world is created for them based on their reality. And we have the agreed upon like global reality, and then we have our own realities, right? And what if 19 of those 20 people, their reality is, let's use and abuse the earth. Like, it's here for us. I'm sure it'll be fine. And you know what? If we use it all up, we'll just, by the time we've used it all up, I'm sure space travel will be available. We'll just go find another planet and use it up. Okay? So it's 19 people. And then one person is like, I get we can really work with the earth and still have everything we require. I get we can have a communion, a contribution with the earth that will create more for everyone and allow it to be sustainable. Now there's 1 to 19 and majority rules, right? So this person doesn't matter. That's not true. This person does matter, especially if this 1 in 19 is willing to have the dominant reality, is willing to dominate what occurs with this earth. Are you willing to be whatever energy is required to create the future that you'd like to have, whether it's with the earth, whether it's financially, whether it's in relationship with your business? Otherwise, everyone is knocking you around and they get to be the dominant energy in your reality. No more. Now again, whatever those energies are, play with them, and there could be multiple of them. I'm still exploring this. I am still seeking in my own universe, curiously, what aspects of my being am I suppressing? What aspects of your being are you suppressing that if you unsuppress them, decompress them, it would allow you to have a greater world, a greater reality, a greater life and living for you and for all. Woo! And would you set it free? Set it free. Set yourself free. Set your being free. It's not wrong. Maybe you've been a bitch. Maybe you've been self-involved. Maybe you've been unkind. What if even that wasn't wrong? It was just a choice, and you can look at, oh, that actually wasn't the appropriate energy to create what I want to create. That this energy bitch would be really appropriate in this area to create what I wanted to create, but I actually wanted to create communion and closeness in this area, so I could be a different energy. I could be vulnerable. I could be kind. It's just applying those energies and just being those energies when it creates more for you. Thank you so much for exploring this topic with me. I hope it contributed to you. I would like to know what you chose to unsuppress today and every day thereafter. I will see you in the Curious Universe. Thank you for exploring the Curious Universe with me. Your curiosity matters. And what if together we could create a greater, more curious world?